Let's move on to frequently asked questions. First question is, what's the healthiest nut or seed? Now, there's an answer to that question. It's probably walnuts or almonds, but it's not a good question because the healthiest nut or seed is the one you're going to eat once a day, 1 ounce for the rest of your life. Now, I've tried to eat walnuts every day for the rest of my life, and I got sick of them and looked longingly at peanuts and almonds. Now, the point is that what's much better than the difference between walnuts and almonds pales in comparison to the difference between nuts and no nuts. So the most important thing for you to consider is, how do you make eating nuts and seeds a part of your diet for the rest of your life every day? For me, that has meant not having just one nut, but having variety of nuts. So I'm always experimenting with different nuts and seeds. I'm always eating different combinations of fruits, nuts, and seeds. It's always interesting and exciting, and it never gets boring. And that's more important than splitting hairs about what type of nut or seed to eat. Next question, are peanuts okay? Well, peanuts are not a tree nut, but they were studied in comparison to other tree nuts, and they have been found to have the same mortality benefit or protection as tree nuts. So yes, peanuts are okay. Can I just snack on nuts? Now, you might have noticed in my tip section, I didn't tell you just to snack on nuts. I recommend not having nuts as a snack. In fact, I don't recommend snacking, period. Snacking is basically defined as mindless eating. You snack when, usually from an emotional trigger, like boredom or fatigue or excitement, or basically any emotion can trigger eating. And emotions shouldn't be guiding your food choices. Secondly, snacking usually occurs when you're doing something else, when you're not paying attention to what you're eating. And that's called mindless eating. And that can lead to excess calories. In fact, since about 1970, the average American consumes an extra 580 calories per day, that's about a meal, in snacks. That's a fourth meal that was added to the American diet in the 1970s. And oh yeah, that's also when the obesity epidemic took off. Snacking was basically introduced by the processed food industry to expand demand for their products, and all they did was expand our waistlines. So the point I'm trying to make is, you're better off not snacking, period. And so that would include nuts and seeds. When you measure out your nuts and seeds and when they're part of a meal, you're consciously eating them, you're not overeating them, and you're doing it in a way that's not going to lead to excess calorie intake.